How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Game Brigade. I am Brian, and you're watching Game Brigade? I literally was just going to say that. Sometimes I get confused with my opening. Anyways, today we're talking about the best of the week releasing on Kickstarter or GameFound, although these are all Kickstarter titles, which is what I'm most interested in. So there's going to be a lot of stuff launching this week, but I've narrowed it down to what I think might be the three that are going to be generating the most buzz, or at least for me are generating the most buzz, because they're ones that I'm actively looking at and researching for my own collection. So if that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned for more. Okay, so I did not know that there was an Ares expedition launching earlier this month when I did my games that I'm most excited for the month of March. I actually skipped this one. I didn't know it was coming out. So turns out when I found out, I was a little bit intrigued. So this is Ares Expedition. It's the bundle for the Discovery, Foundation, and Crisis. Those are three modules. We'll go into those a little bit more here shortly. But that will be coming out this week. I don't have Ares Expedition. I was very clear when the Kickstarter initially launched that I was not necessarily interested in backing it because I was very content with Terraforming Mars that I already owned. The gameplay and all those things were great, and I didn't really want a light, dumbed down version, or at least that's what I assumed. Since the game has been delivered and other people have been able to play it and get a chance to review it, Ares Expedition has surprisingly been very good for people, enough to replace original Terraforming Mars for some crowds. Not quite for me yet, but it does make me interested, at least made me think of maybe I should pick this game up. In fact, when I was at my game store this last week, they had the Collector's Edition, which is the Kickstarter edition, available, and it piqued my interest a little bit, but I didn't buy it. But maybe this Kickstarter will change my mind. So let's talk about it. So Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition bundle, you're going to be getting 3 bundles. Now this board game link obviously is the bundle, but we've broken it down additionally to have all 3. So we're going to talk about what each 3 of these modules are and how you could incorporate that. So Crisis is going to be, I should have done this one a little later, but whatever. Crisis is going to be one where Mars has already been terraformed. It's already an established colony. Everything's going well. But now there are natural disasters or some sort of crises, I guess, occurring that the corporations are going to have to work together to solve. So players are going to be revealing a crisis, which is going to have a resolve effect, some way that we're going to have to deal with it. And if players are not able to deal with that crisis by the end of the round, there's going to be a penalty. It's still going to be around, and then another crisis is going to resolve. So as the crises go, it's going to be lowering the habitability effect of Mars, and obviously we can't have that happen because we have colonies here now. So players are going to have to work together to establish a way to avert the crisis. So this is going to be, in my opinion, probably the module that be least used in the grander scope of the game because it's very focused on a specific type of gameplay. So that, especially the cooperative gameplay aspect. So that's something that players could use and augment their game. But I do think this is probably going to be the least one of the 3 played. So Foundations is it's basically just an add-on pack. It's going to make it up to 5 to 6 players. It says right here, it contains additional player boards, cubes, phase cards, and makes it up to 6 players. So basically just a bundle of stuff to make the game compatible with a higher player count, adding more cards. They do have additionally a new project card that involves a new terraforming metric of, where is it? I believe it said there's a new terraforming metric infrastructure right here. So they're basically going to make infrastructure, because normally you have, at least I haven't played Ares Expedition, obviously, so I know in normal Terraforming Mars, you have water that you're trying to produce, oxygen, and temperature. So once all 3 of those things have been completed, those are the terraforming metrics, the game is over. So it looks like they're getting a 4th metric, infrastructure, which does make sense because you're like, we need to have enough constructions of cities or buildings or supplies, something like that, to make it so it's also habitable. So that will be foundations. This will probably be added to everyone's. You're just going to shuffle in with all the rest of your stuff. It's going to be just a base thing with everything else. And discovery is going to be adding mechanics that are very common, already established in Terraforming Mars, and we're just going to port them over to Ares Expedition. So awards and milestones, those are things that are end of game scoring. So by completing things first or being the best in a specific category, those are awards and milestones. Also upgrading phase cards and adding wild tags. So there's a tag associated with a card. Now when you play those cards, you can declare what that tag will be, because that does matter in Terraforming Mars is all about set collection or tagging. There's like things that matter, like microbiology or steel or something like that. So those are the 3 bundles. Obviously, they're going to have the massive bundle, all 3 with the Kickstarter. I also imagine they're going to be doing the base game. So if you missed the base game at the Kickstarter price, you'll be able to pick this up now. I have seen Ares Expedition, the Kickstarter version, going on sale for lower than it was originally done for Kickstarter on Amazon and at some retailers. But then they also have the non-Kickstarter version available at Target, which was also fairly priced. I think it was like $39. So be aware of that. If you want the non-Kickstarter version, you are able to get that. But be aware that if you get the Foundations bundle, it's most likely going to be Kickstarter version, which could mess up your player boards, or at least have one that's awfully weird. That's weird. Does anyone know what that's from? Anyways, a thing here. So now we're going to go on to number 2. Now this one is arguably probably the most exciting for me, is Tidal Blades Rise of the Unfolders. I never played Tidal Blades. I've heard mixed reviews in terms of what people thought. But to me at the time when I've always regretted not getting it, because it always seemed like a title I should own. But now I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I believe this one, Rise of the Unfolders, is a better game overall. So Rise of the Unfolders is basically, we are now Tidal Blades. In the original game, you were trying to become a Tidal Blade. Now we are a Tidal Blade. And players are going to be sending out with other Tidal Blade characters on a dungeon crawl. I believe it's 18 scenarios is what they mentioned somewhere in here, 18 scenarios. We are going to be going out through this adventure, trying to figure out what is, I believe, something in the fold is melting, which allows these monsters to come in. So obviously we're going to have to defeat these monsters and probably potentially figure out what's happening outside the fold. The key interesting component of this, the reason why the game is kind of cool, is let's zoom in on Jeremy Howard here. You have your hex thing here, and so in the center there's a base power, and you are going to be playing cards from your hand into these sections, and then once you do so, it's going to cast all the spells in either that row or column. So if he just played this card, these spells would be cast. Now the interesting thing here is if he played another spell into this top row, all 3 would be cast, and then this whole row will get cleared. I do believe this one stays because it's the base one, but again, I haven't read I haven't played the game, so I don't know. But I believe that's the rules. But if we have played all here, all of them will cast and then clear. So the players are going to have to play with pushing your abilities as far as you can go, and also maximizing your spells. Because in this situation, you could have a player cast a spell here and then cast here and trigger all of them potentially. At least that's how I view the rules. You could do a massive spell cast. So things like that, trying to play as long as you can. Potentially, there's always usually a drawback or a reason why you need to return the cards, but I can see the interesting aspects of it. I also really like that they're taking the scenario here from Jaws of the Lion, using the 3-ring binder and putting the map. I wish I couldn't zoom. I want to zoom in like halfway. So players could just move around here on this pre-designed board instead of having to set all these tiles and make everything. I think that's an incredible design decision that obviously Jaws of the Lion implemented, and now so many other people are taking advantage of, because it just makes it so much better, and you can have more unique art that is specially designed for the scenario that you're on. So Tidal Blades is very interesting for me. The only hesitation, and it's not anything to be with the game itself, is that I have so many campaign games games that I already have that I'm not necessarily sure I want to have another one in my collection for a while. Like, there could be a solid year of zero backing of campaign games, and I'll probably still be fine with my collection as is. So Tidal Blades will probably be a skip for me. But again, it's going to have to be price point, value add with any exclusives that are going to have to, decide that point for me. But it is the most exciting one of the three. Finally, Jurassic World, The Legacy of Isla Nublar. I was kind of harsh on this one, and I still am, but it intrigues me enough that I'm willing to give them the shot on the Kickstarter page to show me why back now. I think that's very important because this game is a legacy game from a crazy good IP, and I need to know, and their price point I believe is $120 USD, so that's pretty expensive as it is. $120 for a legacy game is fairly high. So I need to know, why am I backing this game now? What are you adding to this to make it worth it for me? Because I could probably buy this at Target, say in a year and a half, for $70. At least that's where my brain puts this value. So I'm curious what everything is going to be in terms of the components. I've already mentioned that I was not in love with these dinosaur minis. I just think that they're not the best in terms of the overall design. I get what they were trying to do by making iconic poses for them. But again, not my style. And effectively, the way this game works, I just wish it was not so zoomed in. Players are going to be, just like these characters are here, on the board. And you are going to be building buildings, moving along, trying to complete an objective. And I don't see on here where their current objective is. Don't see it anywhere. I think it's usually over here. But what you do is kind of like in a game like Betrayal Legacy, players will go into a square and then they can choose to search that square or investigate it. And just like this, the sector will flip open. So who is there? Actually, Hammond is there. And it'll tell you, oh, there's one item, it's clear. And then if there were animals here, they would do whatever this says here. So like these animals would move east, these animals would move north, I believe, and then carnivores would munch you. So that's the idea. And so players will have two actions. They're going to take run actions, herd actions, guide actions, build actions. It's very light. The thing is, the game is very light. So what is going to make it worth it for me, or for really any of the people probably watching this video, is you're going to have a hook that makes the game very exciting and drives me to play within the first 3 scenarios. And that includes prologue. So you've got basically 2 main scenarios that you're going to have to hook a player in a legacy style game to really keep them going, because there's too much competition for our mind right now that could take us to other venues. And I'm nervous that it's just, for the price point, it's a little risky. It's a little risky for me because I know with Betrayal Legacy, it didn't hook me for 5 games, and we still slugged through it. And I now believe I set that barometer saying, hey, you get this much time before you're done. And after that, you're done. Like, ain't got time for it. We've got other games we want to play, and we're going to move on. So, and that's the problem with legacy games too, is because, the whole nature of it being legacy, it's all spoiler. You don't want to reveal anything. So sometimes it's hard to know what that value may be. So that is about it. I hope I gave enough information to really give you guys some things to think about when it comes to some of these campaigns that are launching this week. I know that I'm excited to see what each one provides. Terraforming Mars I'm excited for, because potentially I might back it and pick up what I didn't get last time. Tidal Blades is interesting because I think it's probably the best campaign of the week, if not this whole month. Although there's big games coming in next week. Age of Rome is coming out. I'm excited for it. I played it. I won. Really enjoyed it. Excited to show you what that game's looking like. So that's at the end of the month. And then you've got obviously Jurassic World. I really wish it was Jurassic Park, but obviously, you know, these new studio houses, they want to push the new stuff and not the old stuff, whatever. So Jurassic World, they really want to push it, and I'll give them an opportunity to try to sell me, but I'm pessimistic myself. Hopefully that doesn't rain on anyone's parade if you're interested in it, but maybe that's why you're coming here. You want to hear my thoughts, hear my opinions, and I'm going to be honest with you. I am pessimistic about Jurassic World. I will give them an opportunity to show me why. So that's it. I'm going to go and wrap this up. If you guys want to support the channel, remember, thumbs up is the best way to support the channel because it shows YouTube that you like this content and maybe other people might like it too, and it pushes me out further into the algorithm. If you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, join the community. And if you're thinking about really supporting the channel, I've got a Patreon down below. Even $1 greatly helps. Otherwise, guys, I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.